Kappa League TV.
Kappa League. What do you want from me?
No, we're talking about
The conference.
The conference.
Right. The conference wasn't bad overall because it was teach you about teamwork and leadership and a whole lot of things working together. We were together to build an engine.
What kind of engine?
It was like a piston engine for a boat.
Gotta talk to teamwork. Teamwork.
Use teamwork.
What was
Hey, don't respond to dad like that. He's my fraternity brother.
Brother. What was something that really stood out to you?
What's up to me is how we were able to work together to build it.
That's good. Okay.
So my experience at the Kappa League conference was kind of mixed. I spent a lot of the time being annoyed at the other Kappa Leaguers because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. It was nice getting to see all the other alumni, and I especially loved the fact of seeing the Maritime College. That was very interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because I'd never heard of Maritime College before that, and I learned from that is like a very small college. Like Maritime is a small college, and they got to do the ships, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Definitely cool to learn about Maritime College.
So did it pique your engineering interest?
Some other sophomores, and one important factor that I really liked was when we went to the programming site. One of their programming teachers, they actually let us program like short stories and how we get different words and meanings programmed it for a site they use called Python. I also really liked how we got to learn about like how they're using some different types of shellfish to try and like clean up the water that's around New York, so that they could get back with some of the animals that kind of like went away due to like the pollution. I also really like how informative it was.
I was kind of surprised by the college because it's not like your traditional college. They have like the boats and stuff, and like how to like manage with the engines and stuff. I wasn't really expecting that. For me, it wasn't really something I was interested in, but just to like know how to do it and like try something new, and also like being able to talk to other Kappa Leaguers and like kind of build that relationship. So I thought it was pretty cool.
So real quick, what do you think about the borough president declaring that day Kappa League Day? That's pretty awesome.
Special because it's part of history.
I'm 10th grade, and one thing that I found like pretty interesting was even though I'm not directly interested in working on a ship, it was interesting to see how they live and the people inspired to be on the ships.
What was the inspiration?
I'm interested in engineering. I don't want to be that kind of engineer, but it was pretty cool to see a whole bunch of engineers talking about how like they can contribute.
What I really liked about the college was like how it looks, like the different programs I had there. Like, even if you're not like going like on the seas, like on the boats and stuff, it's still like engineering stuff like that you can do. And I did like the clam thing, and they had to clean up the river.
Yeah, there's so many areas of engineering that you can do there. You could be, they said you could be working on a ship, you could work on the land, you could be by river, because everything, when we see those containers in the Delaware River across the bridge in Philadelphia, there's containers and all that stuff is import-export, right? So everything from dredging, from calculating, from mechanical, all that type of stuff. It's all engineers, all ways you can contribute to how we make our society and our economy.
For a lot of us, we didn't even understand it.
Yeah.
Parents, I heard parents saying, I never knew that. Matter of fact, I didn't know this institution was here. And I go to the Bronx all the time.
Something I learned was that how to build an engine for a boat.
Okay.
Even though like I'm not really into engineering for a boat, I'm just really into engineering.
Overall.
Yeah.
So it was good to get it.
How they took us out to the dock and kind of like use the crates to clean up the ocean.
Okay, can you explain the process to me? I didn't know how to know that. So,
I forgot what they were called, but they're like little, I think like little clams maybe. And they have like crates and they put them into the ocean. It helps clean the environment.
Okay, cool.
So they're called filter feeders because they don't traditionally eat. They do have mouths, but instead of like taking in actual fish and stuff, they kind of take in the bad bacteria and then they excrete like fresh water and clean bacteria that can be used to help preserve and even push up with the environment. And for some of the clams, they're kind of like coral reefs, so like homes for when like fish return.
I did.
Tell me.
Charles, what you doing? If you don't know who he is, he's basically one of the founders of the long-term blood bank, and he also is the creator of a plasma bag used to,
So to start off, George Carver was born into slavery sometime during the 1860s. He wasn't strong enough to work in the field as a little kid, so he learned to read and do important household tasks like cooking and all that. He experimented with pesticides and fungicides to find other ways to improve health of multiple gardens and orchards, earning him the nickname the plant doctor. Why is he a plant doctor? Let's go. He originally wanted to study art music, but his art professor then encouraged him to study rosemary, to study plants. In 1894, he became the first African American to earn a Bachelor's of Science degree in Iowa State University and a master's degree 2 years later. Through his great achievements, Carver offered a teaching visit by Booker T. Washington at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. There's a little right there. During his time at Tuskegee, Carver researched a way to bring back the South soils and the lost nutrients. Carver taught farmers about systematic crop rotation, so that could restore nitrogen to the soil and increase yields. He worked tirelessly to ensure people could use the new crops, causing him to find more than
Deep breath.
So this is the introduction of what the Nation of Islam was. The Jews of Self movement was a movement started by the Nation of Islam, and it's basically a movement to move African Americans to rely on themselves instead of using like the products and services of like other
Entities.
other entities, mainly white people. So they didn't want to use the entities of white people. Reasoning why was because the leader of the Nation of Islam, who was Elijah Muhammad, he had a run-in with people stormed outside of his house with like his family, and so after that, like white people, they stormed out of his house protesting. So after that, he wanted to move away from that, and that is part, so it's a big separation between, they wanted to abandon their, like the lives of the slaves, which is also why you might see people with the last name X. The reason why that is because they're moving away from the slavery white man, they're moving away from all that and starting new. So they were by Eugene Majid or Majid X, and these drawings were like simulations. They were actually in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. They were to show like they were visual representations of what the nation believed. And well, I don't know if you guys can see them. There's like this one. This is Mr. Muhammad or Elijah Muhammad. He's carrying a key to help the black community basically. Like it's not like actually like real, but it's like a visual representation.
Yeah, satire. It's
a metaphor.
Satire. It's not actually real, but it is very cool to see all these pictures and drawings. I actually printed out some of the original things of the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, and it's also, this is one thing I wanted to talk about. So if you look at this napkin right here, if you see this napkin right here, this is actually in the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C., and it was actually donated to, it's one of the original napkins, It's from 1956, and it was actually donated to the museum by my aunt Nicole. So it's also a piece of my family history. I also have the one of the menus, one of the advertisements for the Shabazz restaurant, and the one for the dry cleaners. So, and then the last thing I wanted to show you was these bean pies. So I brought these bean pies for if you guys want to taste them. If you don't, that's fine.
I'll take a bean
But the
pie.
reason why I brought them was, again, as an example of the separation. So the reason why the bean pie was basically created by the Nation of Islam, and the reason why it was created, it was, again, to separate from the lives of slavery, and the reason why it was to replace the sweet potato pie, which was made during slavery. So instead they made a new innovation called the navy bean pie. And at my master, which is in Lawnside, they sell these bean pies in there, and I personally like them. These are the ones they sell are matched. I don't think they're as good as these. These are from Abu's Bakery, which is in Philadelphia, which also came after the Nation, but it was founded like 20 years ago. The business was cultivated like around 20 years ago, but this is one of the things that is a symbol of American Muslims, is the navy bean pie. So that's the end of my presentation. Sorry it was so long, but I just wanted to give a full, well-rounded view of the Nation of Islam and Black Muslims in general.
You did a great job.
And he was the youngest person ever win the World Cup. So his name was President Contest against America. It was on October 23rd, 1940. His father was almost Dos Santos. He was a famous player who suffered injury. His mother was Leslie Contest, and his siblings was Terry, Maria, Dos Santos. Cullen grew up in Tres, I forget how you say it, but he grew up in Brazil in poverty. He gained his talent from kicking a ball of socks with his friends in the street, and he played for a youth team like pretty much his entire life, and then he was scouted to go to Santos FC, pro team at the age of 15.
When you say that, you're talking Angola, you're talking the Congo, and it's another place. I happen to know that the Mbundu tribe, which is my part of my history, were shipped there. And it was like, 5 million Africans were shipped to Brazil, South America, whereas it was only, 2 million here or something real small.
There is no vision without hope. There is no vision, there is no hope. Black History Month is an annual observation, in the United States, where it is known as African American History Month. It is also officially recognized from governments in the United States and Canada, and recently has been observed in Ireland and in the United Kingdom. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. Dr. Williams performed the first successful open heart surgery in 1893 and founded Providence Hospital and training school for nurses. From 1893 to 1898, he was chief in Freed's Medical Hospital, Washington, D.C. He also founded the National Medical Association in 1989.
It exists existed. That's part of the mission behind the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project.
CBS Philadelphia's Liz Crawford spent time in the south of Jersey town learning about the thriving black community that once was.
It's a picturesque little borough. Shops.
Right where like Green Light is, right below there is my house. Right up here, right side is my friend's house.
Okay.
I live on the point. I didn't know it was called that until I went on the walking tour. You can keep quiet. I was a part of I interviewed someone for the second volume of the anthology, which also included my mother, and my uncle Dave was also interviewed, but he did not decide to share his story in the anthology. There was also a celebration, I believe, in February. There was also a celebration of the anthology where most people were there that were interviewed. I was one of the four speakers. On the person who co-wrote it with me. The way that we did. Audrey Dickmore. We read her story. We read my mom's story. But the interview process is we were sitting in the high school library. We just talked with the person answering questions. Then we had to fill out we had to write her story on Google Doc. It was then shared to the interviewee and the publisher. Along with the walking tour, it was rainy morning. Walked around the point, and I learned that I live on the point, and the football field right behind my house was used to look at a football field, just a hilly ground.
Warren High School, where he was a multiple-time varsity level winner, then set records at Virginia State. So that can tell you even back then. Yeah, he was AD at Burlington-Camden, so he was, part of that.
Yeah. Does Haddonfield predate Lawnside in terms of African American presence?
Well, Lawnside is after. Lawnside was a black settled,
settled.
where they're saying now at one time in the early 1900s, 10%.
10% was still.
Yeah, we're black.